What's going on, guys? It's Arcane Duels here. I'm Coshade.
And I'm
Puddnhead and Sharkbait.
And we are doing the Necromancer Academy Full Card review.
One minor restart.
Probably one of the most talked about mages that wants more stuff. I actually really like this expansion, and I'm actually really looking forward to seeing, all the new stuff Necromancer has, but also other mages.
Yeah, there's benefits across at least some other mages.
Yeah.
I know there's a couple cards that I'm really looking forward to with Force Master and with a couple other mages. So.
And I know everyone talking about Monk, stuff like that. This also has stuff to help counter some of those fears.
Yeah.
And things like that. So
in light of that, here's the stats card.
Yeah, let's get that stats card out.
Alright, so excuse me.
Alright, so we got standard 40 spellbook points, standard amount of life and channeling, a little bit of starting mana here. Just like the Arena Necromancer, dark and opposed holy, but the Academy regional training is in effect for this Academy mage. And
yeah, regional.
He gets bonuses to mummies. He can actually remove damage from his creatures. So it's going to play a little bit more like a holy mage than usual necromancers.
The irony is a little... Well, it's not lost.
So...
Alright.
So we know there are going to be mummies. Should we get to some mummies?
On to the next
so something interesting to point out here is that it has the trained in desired tet spells. So right off the bat, there's some things out of Force Master that can already be used by the Necromancer. So it's sort of a cool little interaction between the two of them.
You know one thing in particular is the Jeweled Scarab, which is a holy spell that he is actually trained in, so it doesn't cost him triple.
That's actually really cool.
So he can get mana for his creatures dying or health.
Yeah, and there's that. What is it? That big mummy that the Force Master has. I forget his name.
He was trained in that already.
Exactly.
Juicy.
Yeah, we call him Juicy. He's fun. But yeah, I mean I think he's a pretty standard kind of stat card here for an Academy mage.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, and we're gonna move on to Soul Harvest is the first one we have up for this one.
Soul Harvest.
Yeah. So
This
Soul
is a
Harvest
really unique card.
is a incantation. Targets non-legendary mind-living creatures. You destroy the target creature, and then do other stuff.
Yeah. Instant death.
Instant death, and you get to heal your mage equal to twice its level. So, yeah, you get to basically... It's an undoing spell, one of the first of its type, I think, in Mage Wars, I believe, right?
Yeah, I don't think you can actually one-hit kill anything.
Yeah, well, at least not without rolling dice.
Right. No, you definitely can't unsummon or whatever that is. I mean, this is even better than that because you heal as well.
It's a nice little actions thing. So if you kill it, you do have to pay, and let's just pretend it's enchanted for something. You do have to pay quite a bit of mana for that. So it's not an easy thing to pull off either. But you can only do it once too. It's also epic.
I mean, what's nice is if your opponent casts something, and then you immediately soul harvest it. You benefit more. I mean, you heal twice. You can heal up to four damage, which that's really nice swing in Academy.
Yeah.
The interesting thing about that is you wouldn't want to do it until partway through the game, after you've taken a few hits, right?
Yep. Oh yeah, that's a good point actually.
Because it's worthless at the beginning of the game.
There are some cards I think that can damage you, but that's something that we'll talk about later.
Yeah. So it's an interesting card. I actually kind of like it. The restrictions on it make it so you can't really break it, but it could be useful in certain situations.
Yeah, what I really like about this card is that it takes care of the enchantments too.
Yeah.
And what I like about that is that there's an action economy here, and that you're not only healing, you're not only destroying a creature, but you're also getting rid of all those extra actions used for all those enchantments.
I will make a minor note that if you kill the creature, you get rid of the enchantments anyway, but...
Yeah, that's true.
But you could use this to basically,
expensive.
if someone reveals Restore, you can then pay enough mana to kill the creature, and it won't matter if it's restored or not.
Yeah, it's an anti-restore spell for sure. You know what it doesn't do is it does not actually destroy joint strength.
No, it
You
does
have to
not.
pay the mana for the joint strength, and it doesn't destroy the joint strength if they have mana to transfer it.
Yeah.
Which Timberwolf is probably one of the best creatures to use this on if you're. Oh, it's range 2 too. Wow, that's
Yeah, it
actually
is
really good.
range 2.
It's also full action.
It also would help against something that has giant strength on it, or is dodgy, or something like that. Like this would be the perfect thing to use to kill Taraki.
Yeah, and if there are hidden enchantments and the opponent reveals them, I think you also end up having to pay more mana, right? Or does that break it?
No, you'd have to pay the mana.
Yeah.
I also want to point out that it is a necro spell, so the Death Ring also combos with this really nicely.
Good point. It does make it cheaper.
Which, most necromancers, if not all, already take the Death Ring. So it's just a cool way to get that second effect on that.
That's true.
You
guys ready for the next one?
Yeah.
All right, the next one we have is Fizzle Sacrifice.
Oh, the spell.
So
I guess I'll take this one here.
So target creature, but go ahead.
So basically, this is Dark Mage only, and I think honestly it's best with Necromancer. But it is really good with like vampire creatures. So basically, you destroy a creature, one of your friendly creatures, your target, and you just pay 1 mana for that. And then if you target a different dark creature, which I want to point out that mages are not dark creatures, so it can't be your mage. And then you put a melee 1 on remove damage equal to the level of that creature. So obviously, like vampires are good, anything with vampiric trait, just because they'll be able to get more melee to heal. But probably one of my favorite choices for this is just going to be zombies.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Just because zombie brute, zombie minion, they already are tough to kill. You might as well give them a buff. Yeah. If you have like a crawler that's about to die, has like 1 life left.
Skeletal minion or something.
And I want to point out that you also remove damage. You don't heal it. So yeah, skeletons, zombies, you remove the damage on them, which especially for zombies, that's really powerful because you're essentially healing zombies now.
Yeah. Now, I will also make a point that, not to scare anybody, you're likely only to ever get 1 to maybe 3 damage healed.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Yeah, I don't think I would ever use it on a level 3 creature.
Yeah, in rare circumstances I could see it happen, but it has to be rare. So.
I mean, when you think about it, though, when you do destroy it, if you have a graveyard, it gets mana, so that's nice. If it's like about to die, you could consider it. Yeah, it's kind of a tough card to really like choose, but I think it's a cool card. Basically, is what
it works really well in Academy where you don't have a planning phase. Like you can just choose to use this when it's the most convenient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
when you got a planning phase in Arena, it's a little bit more tricky to use. Yep. There's another range 0 to 2. Important to note though is that the creature that gets the marker has to be in the zone that the creature being destroyed is in.
Yep, that's good point.
Yeah. I could also see like Blood Demon being a good choice for this, or the Vampires.
To receive the melee +1?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. And anybody got anything else on this one?
Okay. 1 mana. It's pretty cheap.
We're going to skip over the next one because it's Crumble, but I'm going to display it real quick because it's in the set so people know. You can get another copy of Crumble. And then we'll come to the next one that could cause some interesting waves, and that's Fizzle.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this has a lot of mixed thoughts because we did this in a spoiler video. And
Rip Force Master.
I'll let Puddin talk about it because Force Master is his favorite mage.
It's his thing.
It's the ultimate Force Master annoyance, right? You can so Mind Control is level 6 and Force Field is level 4 and what else? Redistributed Power is level 1, but the cost to activate Redistributed Power is often not repeatable in Arena. So there's 3 prime targets for Fizzle right there, because obviously the controller loses mana equal to the level, and if you need 10 mana to reveal a force field and you lose 4 mana, you don't have 10 mana to reveal the force field again. And it can really mess with your turn. Like for mind control, for instance, like you get 10 mana a turn on an aggressive Force Master. You're counting on the mind control to deal with whatever the threat is. Turning the mind control face down, I don't think causes the creature to be stunned.
That is an interesting point there, yeah.
I'd have to relook at mind control quickly to figure that out for sure, but I don't think it actually would cause it to be stunned because it isn't being removed,
and it's also not being destroyed, right?
Right, and it's not being destroyed, which is what I mean. It's not being removed or destroyed.
I didn't know what wording it used on the card.
Destroyed probably, but I'd have to check that. Yeah. Right, if it might be if it's no longer affected by mind control, it gets a stun or something like that, but. It's
specifically when it's specifically when it's revealed or removed.
There you go. Yeah, so.
Okay.
And you're not technically removing it.
Right. So you can spend 6 mana. No, it would. Well, it does cost you the reveal cost of the enchantment, though.
Yeah.
So that's a little tricky because to get rid of a force field, you'd have to pay 10. To get rid of a high level mind control, you'd have to pay more than 10. So it might be prohibitive, but at the same time it's novice, which means everyone can run it. It's just going to be something that especially Force Master is going to have to deal with.
There's lots of FU Force Master with this card.
Yeah, another good target for this would be a what's it called? Arcane Corruption.
Ooh, that's an interesting one.
That's a great choice.
So I will make the point. Actually, now that I think about it, Arcane Corruption may not be as good of an option. I mean, yeah, you'll make them pay double for it because it's expensive, but they could just reveal it during channeling.
Yeah, they can.
Yeah, they could.
Yeah.
And for the same reason, Regrowth might not be the best target, right?
Right. I mean, you'll still make them pay more mana than you did for it, so.
You can also make them pay more mana than you did for it for Brace Yourself.
True.
That's interesting.
So if that Brace Yourself is causing you a problem, like you have a bunch of creatures and one Brace Yourself is getting in your way.
Yeah, I think that's a better use for it. Or not a better, but a really strong use for it.
Fizzle it and then hit them real hard.
Yep.
I don't know if it's better to just dispel the thing because it only costs you 2 and then it's gone.
Depends on how heavy they are on enchantments where you need dispels too. So.
Right.
It's also
but anyway, this has a lot of applications. The one that I think I hate the most for it, though, is Redistributed Power because they lose the mana and you spend 0 mana and it's not being removed, but it is effectively being removed in Arena because very few Force Masters run more than 1 or 2 Force creatures.
Yeah, so it dissipates, right? They need to...
Right, because you have to use Dissipate and... if you don't have Dissipates, you can't reveal it. So there goes melee +2.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
Yeah, I think this card is kind of similar to people that like cards like Disarm, where like it's countering something very specific. So what a lot of people do with like Disarm, right? They'll disarm Champion's Gauntlets or Harshforged Plate, and then do the next action to save themselves costs or something like that. And Fizzle is one of those spells that it's like
similar play. Yeah.
You know, this Paladin's about to hit me, this challenge target. I'm gonna Fizzle his Bear Strength so that he gets 2 less dice. You know, and I can't really afford much. Or in another situation, in maybe even the same book, it's like, oh, he has a Rhino hide on, that's his whole armor and vet belt. I'm just gonna Fizzle that and put him through a Wall of Thorns or something like that. You know, like that's some of the applications I can see for Fizzle that is useful.
Yeah.
It's not for everyone, but I think it's one of those spells that like, whereas Disarm is not novice, this is, so it's easier to run, basically.
I think it might get more use out of Hugin too, because you don't have to spend as much mana to get the effect that you want.
Yeah, and you can include a lot of them.
And it works on with Arcane Ring and everything like that, so that's cool.
Yeah, it is meta magic.
We've kind of drilled this one. You ready to do the next one?
It's a cool card.
We got a long list of cards still.
Oh yeah, I'm done.
All right, next one's called Ritual of Kelek.
I love this card.
Yeah,
the Ritual.
I have several books that are going to be opening with this thing.
Just to gain more mana and put some damage on some creatures you don't need?
Or that regenerate, right? The best target for this is a regenerating creature.
Okay, yeah. So
Yeah.
you want to take this one away then, real quick? What do we got?
Well, I mean, I talked all the last time.
Sure, I can
But
talk.
go for it.
So I want to point out that is a Desired Tet, and it's also Arcane. So there's actually a bunch of mages that are trained in this, especially in Academy. And so, I mean, I know Puddin has said he's come up with some ideas here. I think the best idea is easily to use this on something with regen or something you plan on casting regrowth on, just because you want this damage to not be permanent. Um, and I think a lot of people when they see this spell, they're like two damage for 3 mana and a quick cast. That's about right. But the big advantage here, I think, is either mage wanding it or coming up with a very specific way you want to use that mana, because this is basically a mana ramp card, where you can just gain a ton of mana very fast, and you combo this with something like a meditation amulet and maybe a battle forge and a spawn point, maybe 2 spawn points and a battle forge, something like that.
Yeah, it's interesting
And
that you
you
spend a
could,
bunch of actions to get mana.
yeah,
Yeah.
basically using all of your mage's actions to get an extra 2 from meditation amulet, an extra 3 from ritual, and then all your spawn points generate mana as well. You might be able to support a crazy amount of actions that are very strong for a longer game. I haven't really come up with many combos myself, but I'm sure they're out there, and I'm actually excited to see.
There's some really bizarre uses for this card. First one is it doesn't have a target range on it. Like, it's not targeting a creature. It's just choose another friendly creature to receive damage. So whether you can see it or not, you can just choose it to get damage, and then you'll get the mana. The other thing is that it targets a friendly mage, so you can actually probe for Nullify or a Jinx on yourself with this thing.
Oh yeah, if you're worried they jinx you to prevent you from...
If you're worried that they nullified you or something, then you can use for 0 mana, you can target yourself and see if it's a nullify. And if it is, then you've countered a nullify and you don't have to put damage on something, right?
Yep.
If it isn't, then you get mana so that you can get that 3 mana for a teleport that you need to get out of there.
Like 3 mana is crazy good.
Yep. Yeah. As a aside for later is that you can use it to activate some of the mummies coming up too.
Yeah, so the mummies are basically based around getting damage to activate their abilities, so when we see them, we'll talk about it.
You can use it to activate your Rattel, too.
Actually, hilariously, you can use it to put 2 damage on a Jade Gremlin in a room full of zombies.
Oh my goodness, that's ridiculous.
Keep them all there.
There's a lot of hilarious uses for this card, right?
I kind of like that use the most right now, actually.
I mean, I think this is one of those cards that I don't want to say can change the game, but I think can
it has more interesting tactical options, which I like.
Yeah, build books that are unique in themselves.
Yeah, I'm a fan. All right, so moving right along, we have Siphon Life, which we've already seen before, and is basically the lighter version of Drain Life. So we're gonna go ahead and carry on to the next one after that, which is Cowardice.
Siphon Life appeared in Warlock Academy.
Yeah, thanks. Sorry. And then we're going to bring up Cowardice as the next one. It's an enchantment that targets a minor living creature. Costs 2 to put it down, 0 to reveal. Dissipate 1. Sorry?
So we already saw Mass Cowardice, right?
Oh, did we?
And
yes, we did.
Yeah, Mass Cowardice was in Monk.
That's right.
And this is just single target Cowardice.
Yep.
Targets 1 minor creature. It is a curse. It is psychic. You can get this back.
Oh, yeah, as a Raxian Crumb.
Well, only if the creature dies, though, with this on it.
Yeah.
Right. Which doesn't... I mean, not necessary. Usually you're just trying to keep it from attacking so you can kill something else, right?
Right. Sometimes that too, but...
But this is a great way to attack into a minor creature that's guarding, because it won't be able to attack you back.
Oh, that's a good point. And that'd be a way you actually could get it, because the guard would the guard go away? Yeah, it would, even if you didn't attack. So.
Yeah.
Yep. So.
And this was a promo, right? Wasn't this a promo?
It was. Yeah, it was a promo.
I don't know. I don't remember the promos anymore. But yeah, no, it opens up a lot of interesting tactical options, I think, too, for more than just another one for more than just the Necro.
Yeah, a question from the chat is the Academy Wizard can extend this. Yes, the Academy Wizard can extend this. Any card with Dissipate, the Wizard can extend.
Which is also interesting. That's a cool idea. I like that. That's what I hadn't really thought of.
So, I mean, this obviously helps, like, the setup for, like, a solo or, like, buddy builds that have, like, higher level creatures. You know, because it basically is, like, you put it on them, they think about seeking dispelling it. If they do, you're like, oh, it's just a crappy spell, I don't care. But when you actually, like, engage the actual group, like, if you have a bunch of level 3 creatures and you're versing a bunch of level 2 or 1, this is obviously how this is good. It's not really a defensive card. It's more of like, I'm setting this up to attack into it.
Yeah.
And the fact that Sorceress can cast this too is actually pretty nice.
Oh, it's very nice. I'm a fan. So, yeah.
It's just kind of a cool card that has tactics.
You know what? This card actually works with the Curse Blade.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, yeah, it does.
So you can hit, transfer, reveal, and then the thing can't hit you back.
No, you can't reveal it.
Yep, assuming it's guarding.
Yeah. Well, you can't reveal it. You can only reveal it
when it's activated. Right.
Okay. But you can put it on there, so if it's like...
Yeah, for later.
You know, about to activate or something, then...
Yeah.
Bam, gotcha.
Anyway.
I also like that it's not a forced reveal. That's cool.
Oh, yeah, that is nice.
Yeah, you can just bank it for when it's opportune.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't know what they're going to do with it before you activate it. So you have to do it before they choose to attack something, right?
I guess if you have a Thought Spore that has melee attack spell attached to it, you could put it on there. Be kind of funny.
That's awesome, yeah.
If you can reach the Thought Spore with the melee attack spell, then the Force Master's doing it wrong.
No kung fu for you.
You might as well fireball it instead.
Still funny. All right.
That's kind of the point of this card that kind of has this downside. Is just, can you just kill it with your action?
Yeah. All right. Anybody got anything else on cowardice?
No, let's go to the other one. The best one.
The Curse of Servitude is the next one.
I am very much looking forward to this card.
Yeah, this is your Force Master card of the set for you.
What's that?
I just noticed it's a mind spell, so it's your Force Master one.
Yeah, this is a cheaper mind control.
Yeah.
It's basically a kill on that creature if they don't dispel it, because you can always attack yourself. But the controller of the creature actually gets to choose whether or not to put 2 damage on it or attack a friendly creature, and then gets to choose which friendly creature that thing attacks.
Yeah, but it does eliminate their action effectively for a while.
Right, it does. And until they dispel it, which you're kind of hoping that they do, right? So that they have fewer dispels for your other stuff.
It's true, but I will make the point that those who are typical cursing, like the warlocks, this is going to be Force Spellbook point.
Yeah, no, I don't think we'll see it in anything other than Force Master, honestly.
Yes, that's what's weird about this card, right? Is it's a curse card, so ideally they die with it, and then you get it back. But what I like about it is that, Ghoul Rot for once. Let's just talk about Ghoul Rot really quick, because you're talking about mind control. I actually look at it as the Ghoul Rot perspective, and it costs 1 more than the Ghoul Rot to reveal, but this works on like incorporeal creatures.
Yep. That's a good point.
Which I think is pretty cool.
That's dangerous.
So it's got like a really unique targeting system, which, you know, like Fire School tends to not have a lot of incorporeal stuff.
Yeah.
So like this kind of gives you a weird alternative to being like, all right, I'm gonna deal direct damage to these guys, or they're just gonna hit themselves or whatever, and we're just gonna work with that. You
can choose to. Arcane Ward it too, if it's a lot of spellbook points for you.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Good point.
But I mean, that is also a good point. The Erection Crown Warlock can just get it back if the creature dies.
Yep.
And I want to point out that like creatures like the Grey Wraith, it has a weak as a condition, but it's not actually a poison attack. So if it does choose to attack itself, it's just going straight through.
That's true, because it's an ethereal one, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's an interesting card. I like it for the Force Master the best, personally.
Well, you could So here's the question: say you put this on a fire elemental, can it attack itself, or is it unable to target itself?
No, it couldn't. No, it could choose not to.
If it can't attack a friendly creature, it has to take 2 damage.
You're right.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
Or attack a friendly creature. I can attack a friendly creature, so I have to.
In the case of fire elemental, I think there's way more efficient ways to kill it.
Right. I mean, Surging Wave is a good choice, but just saying, an incorporeal creature on the other team that is immune to its own attack would have to take the damage if it couldn't kill something else.
Yep. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that's accurate. All right, we got anything else on this one?
No, I like it.
Yeah.
I'm going to use it. You can better believe I'm going to use it.
All right, and on to one that really is a pain to deal with, having played against it a few times, is the Curse of Weakness.
Oh yeah, this card.
Yeah.
I think this is kind of one of those like interesting. Like I don't know if we've ever actually had a card that places condition markers on like this.
Yeah, not
like I know we've had like. Yeah, I know we've had cards that interact in weird ways, like like the amulet that causes you to get a burn if you have a curse or something like that. But this is more of just like a direct weak. I'll let you talk more about it, Shark.
No, yeah, I mean it's pretty much it's really simple card, which it's simple and elegant. It's exactly what you want. You pay to give them weaks. This is really nice against people who are focused strictly on melee or non-spell attacks. So it can come in handy in a variety of ways. From the Dark Mage perspective, it's beautiful because it's level 1. I mean, this is really cheap overall, mana-wise and spellbook-wise, so you can include a couple of them too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you are paying 3 mana just to have the option to pay 2 mana to place a weak.
Right.
Right? So it takes you 5 mana to get 1 weak off on somebody. Where if you're only going to get 1 weak off, you might as well just play Agony.
Yeah, and
Agony works on every creature.
That's true. If you're only planning on getting 1 weak, though, if you're trying to put a thing on there and draw out a Dispel possibly, then I think it might be worth it as well. Because of the potential.
I think against like the War School or like the Erexians or the Warlocks and stuff like that, this card is pretty potent because they kind of rely on melee for a lot of their creatures.
Yeah.
And this is sort of that, over time, if I just get through this, you won't be able to damage me. If you rely on books that, have like Aaron or Allendale or, even like Timberwolves, stuff like that. This is kind of one of those cards that's just like, I'm going to directly counter you without killing your creature.
Non-living is poison immune, though. So,
work on them.
It does not work on earth elemental, water elemental.
Yeah, exactly.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, Fargus makes a good point that actually this could replace the Gorgon Archer to start activating the Plague Master ability.
Oh yeah, that's a great point. Necromancer.
This is a very good Plague Master ability.
Yeah.
So I mean, I know a lot of people have talked about how the monk, you can get crazy buffs with just like charge alone or melee plus stuff like that. This is sort of a direct counter towards, I guess, it's sort of a longer game counter towards that sort of thing on the mage.
Yep.
And the fact you can cast on the mage is pretty crazy.
Yep.
I do want to point out this is a poison condition or subtype. So most books are running Purify. So this takes care of both.
That need it.
Yeah, it takes care of both the curse itself and all the weaks at the same time.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're not running Purify already as a melee-focused mage or a non-spell attack-focused mage, then you may want to consider it, because Purify is ridiculously good for its action efficiency.
Yeah.
This just makes it even more so. Cool.
So yeah, it's an interesting card.
It's interesting, it's simple, it does the job very effectively. I'm a fan of the design overall.
I do. It does it during the upkeep too, so it's not a spell action for you. Like you do this spell action once, and then you can do things during the upkeep, which is important. So a priestess would be using an action every turn to undo what you did.
Oh yeah, that's crazy.
Right.
So you could even gain ground versus the priestess with this card.
Yeah, that's true. Any last words on it?
Not that she doesn't have Purify in school.
Use this card.
Yeah, use this card.
Like literally, like most mages might want to consider this if they don't have good counters to high melee books.
Yeah, that's true. The next one we're looking at is actually, I believe, also a promo, is Stench of Death.
Yeah, that one got in here, didn't it?
Yep, we got in here. It's basically you're plagued, but it targets a zone instead of targeting a creature.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
nice.
it's pretty
so
simple.
if you've figured out where the fight is going to be, you can make it so that your creatures don't die and theirs do.
Yeah, and if you're looking for multiple dots, you can stack this with Plague, you can stack this with Poison Gas Cloud, and it's just another dot to add to the creature here.
Stack it with, so let me see. If you do Poison Gas Cloud, Plagued, Stench of Death, Malakota, and Idol of Pestilence, how much poison damage? How much? That's 7 direct poison damage to everything in the zone?
Everything in the zone. Every living... Yeah, basically everything that's affected by poison in the zone.
Yeah, and I think this sort of adds on. This sort of adds on onto the fatigue styles that we used to see a lot of.
Yeah.
Where it sort of like force holds you or crushes you in one zone, and this just lets you get more damage in that one zone.
Yeah, well, I think this goes great in a spawn point zone. Doesn't matter what.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What's funny is like putting this, and ironically, like a consecrated ground, is actually pretty cost effective. Like if you're trying to like beat a nature mage that has a layer in the center zone or something like that, like 2 direct damage every round is actually pretty effective.
Yeah, and for 9 mana total, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Right.
Good point in the chat by Farkas. Stench of Death and Curse of Weakness are excellent uses for Shift Enchantment.
Shift Enchantment, yeah.
Oh, Shift Enchantment. Yeah.
Yep.
You'll see a lot of good uses with that.
Yeah. Not a whole lot to say on this one aside from it's got a lot of uses, and I mean, we've seen this around.
I do want to point out in Academy, the Necromancer isn't poison immune, so this will hurt your Necromancer as well.
It'll hurt everybody. Yeah. It's a clock.
It's cool.
So, yeah. To the next one, we have Terrifying Visage, which I think is cool.
I love this card too. This is a great card.
Yeah.
It is a psychic effect, and it also doesn't work against non-living. However, it's important to point out that melee attacks from creatures of a lower level roll 2 less dice against this creature. Okay, if you put this on your Allendale, your you can actually put this on your Invisible Stalker.
Oh, good point.
And it'll make the bear roll less dice against your Stalker.
Oh man, that's a great point.
It also can go on any non-mage creature, so you can put it on, say, Earth Elemental or Water Elemental. Like those are the best targets for this, right? Because they're level 6, and everything is lower level.
Put it on Sardonyx, and the mages start rolling less.
I was gonna say this works really well against mages.
Only if they're high enough level, though.
Yeah, exactly.
But is your mage really going to be making melee attacks against Althea and Sardonyx?
I hope
it's
so,
just
because
2 less.
Funny.
Oh, it's melee attacks. Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, for the cost of 1 spellbook point, maybe 2.
Oh yeah.
And you're running like a bridge troll or something like.
It does cost you 9 mana to put on Sardonyx or Althea.
It's expensive, but I think it's it's totally worth putting onto certain creatures that you want to. I think it works best against certain books, like books that run a lot of the smaller, like the Swarm Beastmasters, for example.
You know what? It might make Sir Corazin playable.
Oh yeah, that's interesting.
I
mean, this also stacks with Aegis, which I think is a cool benefit in and of itself.
I'd kind of like to see this on. Interestingly enough, I wonder if this actually makes Caligar available in Arena.
Caligar, yes.
Is she level 3?
She's level 3, so certain situations I feel like it could be okay. Now, that granted, she'll just eat a boulder after that, but...
Yeah, that's the problem with those guys. They just die to ranged spells.
Yeah.
But you could put this on...
lots of fun uses.
All sorts. Obviously, 4 and up is the obvious choice for that.
Yep. But easiest. All right.
It's a cool card.
On to
Unholy your
Reversal.
favorite.
Yeah, this is my favorite card in the set.
Oh, I love this card too.
Yeah.
I hate this card.
So this is it's a target a living creature. It's a curse. It is dark level 1, 2, and must reveal for 2. So you must reveal Unholy Reversal when the damage on this creature would be healed. Prevent 3 points of it, and then deal 3 direct damage to the creature and destroy Unholy Reversal. This includes regeneration. So if a creature's about to regen up to 3 points, you cancel that and then deal 3 on top of that instead. So it's a big,
insane.
It's a big swing. It can catch people off guard. I've had it. I think I had to kill Aaron once.
The Aaron is a great target for this thing.
It's an insane card.
Yeah,
it's so good.
It does a lot of fun. Oh, you thought you were healing? No, you're not. Never mind. And
I mean, you were talking about
it doesn't work against Martyr's Restoration, right?
Yeah, because it doesn't heal, removes damage.
Yeah.
So there's actually some interesting play arounds to it as well that exist. So I wouldn't forget too much. But it's a fun way to counter a lot of the defensive healing style of play. I wish targeted conjurations too, because otherwise, I mean, putting this on the tree would be hilarious.
I mean, a lot of people are relying on Dorcius.
Yeah,
I know. Even non-holy books, you see Dorcius in some instances.
The one time when we were playing testing recently, when I was going to use it on Dorcius, but I accidentally nuked him in one turn with a fireball. So I didn't get to play
so like what I like about it is we were talking about Sectaris earlier. It is a curse spell. You can put it on something that has, like a vampiric trait or something like that. You hit them with Sectaris, they counterattack you with Vampiric, and then you reveal this when they hit you back to take damage. I think that's pretty cool.
Yep.
I'm
a fan. I like how this one goes.
It's just kind of like like I think everybody's run into those divine reversal cards where it's just sort of like, are you serious, Priestess? You're getting a life and you're doing all these other things.
Yeah.
This is really frustrating because I can't stick damage onto you. This is one of those just counter cards, and it actually counters Divine Reversal decently well, which is kind of ironic.
Yeah, it definitely does. And I'm okay with
it. Prevents 2.
It ends game.
And then, so you basically get your damage through.
Yep.
Basically, yeah. So it's just kind of it's a cool card. I know we're going to see it in a lot of books because regen is, at least on Octagon, where, if you guys are listening and haven't tried online, there's a game called Octagon that runs a Mage Wars sub-game in it. The meta is definitely regen. Regrowth belts, regrowth itself, and this card just sort of directly deals with regrowth belt.
Yep.
It only does it for 1 round, so you got to have another plan the next round.
Yep.
But I mean, so let's just talk about it really quick. For 4 mana, preventing 3 healing, let's just say it's 2, and then dealing 3 damage for basically 5, a net of 5 for 4 mana or 6, I think is totally worth it. It's just really, really worth it mana-wise.
As Keaton points out, it'll help finish games, and that's kind of my favorite part about this, is that it helps. It's a finishing move, and I honestly would consider running it even in a holy book. Just for finish potential. I mean, I would probably run it my paladin.
I'd rather run Poison Blood, probably.
I could do both. But
you play Dark Mages, though, see?
I've been done with or at least...
No, I don't remember what I was going to say.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, well. That's fine.
I mean, it's also good on, Druid, because she tends to have a lot of regen stuff.
I wonder, does this work on tree gen?
No.
No, it doesn't.
Because it's
transfer,
life. Right?
Life bond is transfer of damage.
Yeah, well, I tried. All right, so, that's that card.
So I really like this card. This is one of the reasons why I really like this set, is we're seeing a lot of cards like this.
Yep.
That I think is cool.
The next one is actually the art that was revealed for the box, I think that I saw someone talking about the other day.
Oh, yes.
Brittle Harvester.
Yeah, man. So compared to Skeletal Minion, right? Non-living, psychic immunity, Skeletal Minion has 6 health still, right?
Yep.
And it does 3 dice. And it costs 4 mana? 5 mana.
5 mana.
5 mana, and it's level 1. This one is level 2 and costs 6 mana and does 1 more die of damage.
Yeah, it's a stronger hitting skeleton.
Level 2.
Yep.
It's level 2 though, which is
it could help feed your graveyard.
Yeah,
I guess so.
This is I actually don't like this card. Only because I guess so the reason why you run it is because it's 4 dice for 6 mana. That's ridiculously good.
Yep.
And especially in Academy, where most things roll 2 dice, it's really nice for that. I think if you run Brittle Harvester, you want to have Eternal Servant on it because he's basically meant to hit something for a lot of dice, die, like absorb the blow, maybe 2 blows, come back and do the same thing.
Right.
Yeah, and 6 life is enough to absorb probably 2 hits, even if the second hit is super overkill. So you're kind of being mana efficient as an Eternal Servant anyway.
Yeah, and I want to point out that he's not a soldier like the other skeletons. So if you run armory for the piercing and the armor and stuff like that on skeletons, this guy won't have that, which kind of gives him a downside.
Yeah, that's true. Yep. So I mean,
so
he's a definition Academy card,
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah, that's basically it.
He's basically an Academy card because of the fact that it's I don't want to call it a weaker because there's certain situations where he's not, but it's a weaker version of an existing card.
Like, I love the art and the theme and the quote. Like, everything is cool about the card. It's just like ultimately he's just a farmer.
Yep, just a farmer.
Can't do anything.
I might run one in my skeletal necromancer just for the reanimate, the Eternal Servant. Like 4 piercing 1 is pretty good. It replaces a Death Fang for me.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see that. Anyway,
but
carrying on to the Darkfen Rat.
Oh yeah. So this rat is it's sort of like the buddy to the what is it? The Witchwood rat, I think it's called.
Yep. Yeah, the other rat.
And I think why this is such a cool card is because of that combo. They're both dark nature, so if you're different mages, you can choose to go with either one. But basically, with these 2 cards, I think Witchwood Rat has 4 mana for 5 life, but you get melee 1, whereas Dark Fiend is 4 mana for 6 life, and you get piercing 2. So obviously they combo together really nicely to basically be like, I'm spending 4 mana for 5 or 6 life creature that together they have 3 dice piercing 2, which is really good. Like if you compare them to like Goblin Grunch, you basically get 4 life for, I think it's 4 mana.
Yeah, I mean
4
they're nice little
4
dudes.
mana, 3 dice. Yeah.
They're not, if you need something cheap off the layer or something that you need a cheap, a cheap cast for a turn, but you want to have an action out there. These guys are good for that. That's another pure Academy card where it's a lighter version of things you already run, but there are still useful times for it.
Yeah, like I could see a Straywood maybe taking this because he has the quick cast. Maybe petting one that has melee just so he can always have the extra melee die.
That's an interesting idea.
But I mean, like, I don't think it's bad in Arena. It's just like you have to want to go for this if you're doing that.
Yeah, I don't think it's bad, but I mean, it doesn't replace the Asp.
No, not at all.
What happens? I mean, here's the thing where you could actually cast these as a Necromancer, and then, your zombies have to kill it, right, in order to get the ziggurat to work.
Yeah, to bring it back as a zombie.
Yeah, well, maybe that doesn't work.
You can animate dead on it.
Yeah, but I mean, there's better targets for that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Anyway,
I'm just trying to figure out a way that you could just get it twice, so that the 4 mana is worth it.
I mean, if you animate dead Mage Wand it, then theoretically it's a cheap cost that you could do it repeatedly. But it's probably your best bet.
Well, it's going to come with 5 health instead of 6.
And
be dead.
Be slow. Yeah.
It's tough.
I don't know.
It's tough to make work, but it's a card.
It's a card.
Be better to play the snake.
It's a card. On to the next one. The Embalmed.
Oh yeah, this one. Yeah, so there's a lot to talk about with this card because it's such a. The rules on it are very unique. So basically, you cast it, and you pick a card that has a living creature card in some graveyard, and you're like, I'm gonna take this out, and it becomes this card. And then you remove that card from the game. But personally, I think when I play it, I'm going to just keep it on top of this card, so I know all the stats on it. But technically, it gets removed completely from the game. So, like, the big interaction here, because we're talking Necromancer, is it's an undead card. So, obviously, if you Eternal Servant this, There's two main opinions that we've talked about and how Eternal Servant will work with this. And it basically all rests in the fact of when this creature dies, Eternal Servant says that the card goes in the discard, and then you bring it back because of Reanimate. So the question is, when it dies, you have to pay the cost of it, which it is a copy of the other card, but then you bring it back, and it's the Embalmed, which it says when summoning, you have to pay, to pay the cost to bring back a living creature. So it's a sort of really wacky interaction with Eternal Servant that I kind of wanted to talk about.
So what's the ruling?
I mean, that's what we're talking about.
All right, so there's a couple of fields of thought here. The first and less exciting one is that you can't Eternal Servant it because when you bring it back, it's not like you can't bring it back. The thing that it was copying is removed from the game, so gone. The more interesting way to think of it is that you're actually bringing the Embalmed back, and then you're paying 2 mana for the Eternal Servant Resurrect because you're bringing the Embalmed, so you're only paying 2. But then when it comes into play at the beginning of the round, you pick a different creature from some graveyard and pay the cost to copy that as per the Embalmed's rules. I don't know.
So I mean, I see from the chat, we're seeing people like, I think when it comes back, you steal a new card, and I want to just read really quick. Animate Dead. It's when a friendly non-legendary, non-epic undead creature comes into play, you make the Eternal Servant, blah, 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 it gains piercing 1. You place the Eternal Servant on it. If this creature is destroyed, you pay mana equal to the casting cost to reanimate it. So, the Embalm says, this creature becomes a copy of the removed creature, gaining the Embalm's traits and subtypes. So does the casting cost also get replaced?
Yeah, it would become a copy, I guess. So you'd have to pay whatever the cost of that creature was to bring the Embalmed back, and then you would have to pay to copy a new creature when it came into play. So I think it would be prohibitively expensive.
So it would be expensive. I think that's how I look at this card ultimately, which we've had a lot of discussions on how this card works. So the question is, when you do bring it back, you can just choose a different creature then, and then pay the cost, and then you get that creature then, so that when that dies, you do it again. So theoretically, I guess if you're paying double the cost if you're just constantly reanimating the same creature, let's just say, like, not the same, but like assuming it's in the discard pile.
Right. I think, it would. That's how it would work, because you're paying the casting cost to reanimate it, and the casting cost has been replaced with the creature you've copied. But then when it comes into play, you have to pay X.
Because the copy... Okay, so let's talk about that really quick. So when it gets destroyed, this is a copy of a different card. That copy goes away because it's not a spell anymore, it's a discarded spell. It becomes the Embalmed again, right?
Well, or Eternal Servant has nothing to reference because that card doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Like, reanimate has nothing to reference because what you're trying to reanimate is no longer in the game.
Well, I mean, that's really interesting too. So, like, if you remove something from the game and it has the Eternal Servant, you don't bring it back. So, I mean, the question is, when this becomes a copy of the card, do you replace the Embalmed with the name of the card as well? Or does it remain the Embalmed?
I think you'd replace it, because then it gains the Embalmed's subtypes, and it's referencing the Embalmed that's in the graveyard, I guess, or the discard pile.
Yeah, so you would rename the Embalmed to a different card. So then you're actually reanimating the copied card completely, and the Embalmed is sort of discarded in its own way, in like its own unique fashion. So yeah, I think ultimately it would be useless to to Eternal Servant it unless you just want the piercing, right?
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think it would do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it'd bring it back, but I'm not following all of the circular logic very well right now. So
I mean, this
at
is
some point
this is
it'll
one of
come
those tough cards that like I'm having trouble wrapping my head around
back.
it.
Yeah.
Well, right. Reanimate would resummon the copy, but the copy isn't real. So there's nothing to resummon.
That's basically what we're talking about. Is that when this card, the Embalmed, becomes the copy, does literally when the card dies, does the Embalmed go in the discard, and is the copy no longer in existence? Basically,
I would say so, because when the card goes in a discard, it loses all of its assumed traits, and when the Embalmed goes into discard, anything that is copy it's no longer referencing that, and it doesn't even have a point of reference because that's out of the game.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say so as well. I mean, it's
all right.
I don't know if there's any necessary.
This is a one-shot spell,
but
is what we've basically determined.
Yeah.
I think that's what we're talking about right now, and I'm reserving the right to be wrong on this. But I think that's the conclusion I'm reaching as well.
I am with you guys on that too.
Yeah.
Shall we move on
It
to the
makes
next
it
thing?
way easier too.
All right.
It makes it easier to play, that's for sure.
Yeah. So for now, that's what we're gonna stick with, and we'll let you know if it changes.
I like this next one.
Yeah, the next one's Matatumba. Excuse me.
Matumbo.
They changed the name.
Matatumba.
Yeah. This one's a cool one. Anybody want to take this one?
I love this card. So minor creatures can't attack Matatumba. Period.
End of story.
Right, like it's not like Aurora that can ignore minor creatures. Like they can't even attack Matatumba. And that makes it so that he can completely guard his own for you from minor creatures. Creatures with psychic immunity do ignore the effect. So Knight of the Red Helm can get through that. And anything non-living, well, not everything, but most things non-living have psychic immunity. So that would get.
I think the problem with this guy is his life. But he's super cool.
He's incorporeal, and there's a whole bunch of ethereal attacks out there that can do 6 damage. However, if you do have a window of opportunity to play this guy, you can actually give him you can use Abyssal Sacrifice to buff him, right?
Yeah, you can. He's a dark creature. There's a couple ways to buff his life, I think, actually.
Yeah. And you can he's all critical damage. Like everything he does is critical.
Can you redistribute power on him?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, you can redistribute power on any creature. You can also agony any creature, which is dumb. He's very good against zombie brutes. Yep.
Because brutes will.
Well, he's better against zombie minions.
They'll have to roll
and
ones.
Zombie. Well, they're psychic immune, so
the way we need to think about this guy is he'd be good support creature. He's not a good frontline.
Oh
right.
yeah.
And at 13 mana, it's hard to justify support creature. I think.
Absolutely, I agree.
He's kind of a conjuration killer. I mean, ultimately, critical damage is very expensive. Like anything that has critical damage is supposed to be, like that's their thing, and that's it. Like Glass Cannon comes to mind here.
Yeah, well, also, I mean, he doesn't have any upkeep for being incorporeal, too.
That's true. That's interesting.
Kind of good. I mean, that's why he costs 13, I think.
Yeah, and this guy will do well against Brute Eyes on its own because he still has to roll ones and he doesn't trigger Bloodthirsty.
I mean, it's about the same cost, so that's interesting.
It will take at least 2 hits from a Brute to kill it.
Minimum 2, and that's if you roll all ones.
Right.
So.
And this guy will be tearing through the Brute in probably 3 hits.
Yeah, ish.
Redistributed power works on this guy.
Is there anything else though? Marked for Death.
Marked for Death works.
The Scout.
Yeah, the Scout.
The Scout works. I
mean, there's all sorts of.
The Abyssal Sacrifice works.
Yeah.
Ooh, good
Isn't
point.
there a staff
Sacrificial
that gives
altar?
plus
We'll talk about that
Dead?
later. That's coming up soon.
No, I think he's talking
there's-
about the Death Shroud.
Oh, the
Does the
Death
Death
stuff.
Shroud staff work?
I don't know if
Or
it
is
does.
that-
Nobody runs it enough. I haven't seen it in forever.
The it targets undead creatures, so you give it melee 1 for 2 mana, so it would work.
Yeah. So this guy's interesting.
He's fun. It looks like it would be fun to try and make work, but again, the 6 life.
Yeah, it would be
life is real
difficult,
bad.
but I don't think it's not do. I think it's possible.
I mean,
There we
like, clearly he's really good against, like, minor creatures. That's kind of his big thing.
Yeah.
You know, he's meant to go after swarms and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yep, that's pretty much it.
I mean, I could see this with, like, a Jinx play, if they're running swarms, and just sort of, like, saying, you're not going to cast your ethereal stuff. Haha. You know, and stuff like that.
Yeah, basically. All right, well, let's carry on to the next one then.
So, I mean, 5 dice for 12 mana is actually pretty good. Especially in Academy. I mean, he is kind of weak in the sense of it's 2 armor, 12 life, so, you know, he dies faster than some other level 3 creatures.
Kind of, but
Well,
his ability
I mean-
kind of helps with that.
Yeah, exactly, right? So, like, if you're getting hit with, like, a troll, and you're like, I don't want Matisse to take this hit, I'm going to let my, you know, dumb swordsman, mummy swordsman, take that hit.
Get down, Mr. President!
Exactly. It's totally what it is. He's just, you know what? Matisse is kind of the jerk mummy. He just, like, shoves a bunch of mummies forward in front of him, being like, you get hit now.
That's a good way to look at it.
You know?
It's interesting to say that only works while he's guarding.
Yeah.
So
true.
if they can knock his guard off, then they can just hammer him.
Yep.
Well, he also pairs interestingly well with Juicy, too, so if you need that guard knocked off of him, you can put him in the same...
Mm-hmm.
So... Sort of well,
I mean-
at least. I mean, it's a bit of a stretch for...
I mean, he's a cool
Those
card.
guys.
I don't know how much more there is to talk about with him, but
Yep.
he's just cool.
Agreed. On to the next one. Mummified Swordmaster.
Double strike.
Yeah, however... Oh, wait, no. Yeah, when he's damaged, that's what I'm looking for. He needs to be damaged in order to have that double strike.
Yeah, he's got that really interesting mana cost where it's 7, and 7 is always like you tend to get creatures that you're not sure if they're really strong or if they're not, or if they're, you know, somewhere in between. Like other like some mana creatures would be like a blue gremlin, you know, that sort of thing, where it's like, yeah, he's 1 armor, 8 life, and 3 dice. That doesn't seem the best, but then getting double strike is insanely good. So
Yeah.
suddenly you get 2 attacks for 7 mana of 3 dice.
And you
That's
can make it
the
a
value
surprise
on
by
that.
quick casting Ritual of Calic right before it.
Yeah, the
At which
value
point
on that
you've really only spent a little bit of mana.
that's insane. It's
Yeah.
so good. So like, you know, I wouldn't necessarily poo-poo this guy based on just his stats. It's really more about how much effort are you willing to put into this guy to get that double strike.
Yeah, he can
And I
combo
wanna
pretty
point out-
well.
Yeah, and I want to point out some of the combos that Shark was talking about of applying damage, but also things like Battle Fury allows him to get double strike twice, which is really nice.
Well, he only gets double strike
Oh
once.
wait,
Because
he only
he
gets
doesn't do
his
full action. But he does get,
you're
he
right.
gets 3 attacks still.
He gets 3 attacks still.
With
Yeah,
bonus
you're right. It's a full
Battle Fury.
action, so they did balance that in that sense. I actually like that a lot. But yeah, it's just one of those interesting sort of interactions where, especially in Academy, if you play that, the double strike ends up being really good with this.
I agree. Yep, it's a cool card. It's not flashy, and honestly, it'd probably be tough to get working every time you wanted to use it. So I wouldn't make it a main strategy. But again, as a support creature, there's a lot of support creatures here. I feel like mummies are really, really good at supporting.
Yeah, I mean, making this guy Eternal Servant and getting double strike means you get that piercing 1 twice.
Yep.
Which is really nice.
Yep. Also true. And the chat's pointing out that the Unholy Armor that we'll get to soon will also help trigger with this guy too.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different ways in this to actually damage your guys to activate it.
Yep.
So, like, if you're looking to build a book with mummies, like, think about the combos, because they're kind of, they're pretty important with these guys.
Yep, that's pretty much how they run. All right. Let's go on to another mummy that, speaking of combos, although this one isn't... Oh yeah, this one does. So when damaged, he gets +4 to the effect roll, which spread more rots around.
Yeah, the rot guy. This guy's fun.
Yeah. So this guy, for everyone, so he's a 9-mana creature. He's the same cost as what's the rot zombie? I forget the name of that one. Plague zombie?
Yeah.
Plague guy.
Plague
But
Jumper.
he has a better rot chance when he's damaged already, and he has 1 armor, 8 health, which is actually fairly sturdy for a level 2 creature.
Yeah, and I want to point out that the Plague Zombie only has 4 life, resilient, and it's also slow. Or no, it's lumbering, not slow. So when it comes to, and it's 2 dice, bloodthirsty 1. So like when it comes to like the interaction between these two, I actually would probably choose Plague Voidwalker as your card to rot.
Yeah, they're very comparable, but
yeah, just because it has the better chance of dealing rot if you damage it. It has decent life and health for its ability and its card cost. I mean, the thing is, rot is expensive. That's just pretty much how it is. Like Tegu's probably like Tegu's probably the best example of a rot creature that survives a long time.
Yeah,
but like this guy's meant to deal the rots, and he's meant to do them well when he's damaged. So he'll probably take a hit, get a rot out, and then probably die.
So
which
speaking of Battle Fury combos, this guy's also great with that because 2 attacks that if he's damaged 5+ rot, that's pretty awesome for 5 mana in my opinion. So and like, granted it's 5 plus 9, but
I don't know about you guys when you play your games, but like if I get a rot on my mage, I feel horrible. Like I'm like I gotta spend actions and time and mana.
A million purifies and basically everything.
Right? So like imagine this card if you get the rot on as basically saying, 1 or 2 spellbook points and action and at least 2 to 4 mana. Like depending on your combos and stuff. Like that's a really good attack if you want to counter it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I like the combos of all of these. Honestly, that's my favorite part of this set, other than Unholy Reversal.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
Plagued Voidwalker is likely to get his rot off on something too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
absolutely.
It will take at least 2 hits to kill him on average.
I want to point out that all these mummies aren't psychic immune. I don't know if that affects too much about what you're all thinking about, but that just makes them sort of unique in the Necromancer ranks.
It's true. It's unique and both abusable and exploitable from either your side or like the enemy side. So it just adds a little extra thing to it. Carry on to the next one.
Sure.
Priest of Abignac. It's probably Abignac, but I like Abignac better.
Abignac.
So this guy actually triggers Bloodthirsty for your zombies and keeps your mummies healthy.
Yep. That's pretty awesome.
He's a really interesting creature. He's also a cleric, so he can be used to activate the Altar of Skulls and stuff like that. I mean, he's got great stats. I mean, like, so let's start with this really quick. So the typical cleric is 5 mana for 1 armor, 6 life, and that's actually really good. This guy it's 6 mana for him, but he helps remove damage from undead things, which is like really unique into itself. And the fact that he does a direct damage to a living creature means that you don't have to roll his melee to deal with their guard. You just are like, and you're damaged now, and now you're healed some more. And I think he can remove damage from himself. Yeah, he can. So, I mean, like, really, like, the advantage of this guy is kind of like how the Disciple works, in the sense that you're dealing a direct damage without having to deal with any of the attack interactions.
He's also able, so if you do Ritual, you can use him to kind of lessen the amount of damage you have on each of them by making it down to 1.
Yeah, right? That's letting your zombies or your mummies survive longer so they can keep getting their double strike or their rots or stuff like that.
Something that may not be printed on the card, but because he's a cleric, does that mean he always rolls crits?
that is true. All clerics seem to roll.
Plan.
Especially my Castiel.
Playing him, yeah.
Castiel judges people hard, man.
Right. Just roll
she has
for everything.
She has some mean quips in her arsenal.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to the next guy.
Hero.
This is a cool art. This is my favorite art, I think, in the set.
Hey, look. It's a Beastmaster creature.
Oh yeah.
And Desartet.
Yep.
Yeah. So big giant cat lion thing with while guarding gains armor +2, which is actually pretty good. His life total's a little on the low side for utility, but he's got his uses, I think. The piercing one's really nice too.
3 armor is pretty good.
It is.
So, like, if you can keep him guarding, this Pack Leader's Cowl works on him.
Yeah, I would say he's a lion. The problem is it says cat, not lion.
Well, what I like about him is that we don't. Wow, what I like about him is that we don't have a lot of like good level 2 creatures in Academy. I guess we have the Rattel, which is really good. But like this guy, like 1 armor, 9 life for 9 mana. Yeah, like it works with all those minor creature spells. So like you can Badger Frenzy him for 4 dice, piercing 2 twice.
Yeah.
So you can put him on guard and Badger Frenzy him, and then counter with something big.
That's true.
I mean, like comparing him to Timberwolf, like he loses piercing and 1 armor and a life, but he has, but he can go up to 3 armor, so it's kind of not like clearly he's a guarding creature of some sort. That's kind of how he's supposed to work.
He pairs really well with Pack Leader's Cowl.
He does.
Yeah.
Very
yeah. Absolutely does.
So.
Yep.
I mean, like basically, if you run him, run the Cowl.
He's pretty cool either way.
Otherwise, if you don't run the Cowl, I probably wouldn't run him. I'd just take Timberwolf over him.
In Academy, I think I would run him as a Necromancer, though.
Yeah, I think he's a different job than a lot of those level 2 creatures to compare him to. Like, he's a different job than Timberwolf, so. That's
fair. And, like, he does activate, he's a cat that activates the totem that's pretty cheap, which is pretty rare. So, like, if you're looking to get, was that elusive, I think the cats give you?
Yeah.
That's a pretty decent choice for him.
Yeah, you could also just Feral Bobcat as a quick cast.
Yeah, like run him in the corner or something, but,
Yeah, he's got some cool combos. I like him, and his name is cool.
I would give him. Yeah, his name is cool. I would definitely give him a run, just to see how he runs and work out.
I agree.
He's not bad as an embalmed creature too.
He's also an interesting point.
Because then he becomes a mummy.
Yeah, and combos with all of them.
Lots of and he can guard the rest of your mummies, and you can heal him with your clerics.
He's got an interesting choice with him. So yeah.
So, yep. It's a thing. It's going to be more of an Academy thing than an arena thing, probably. But yeah, he's
Servant. We're going to move on to the Servant. We've seen this before, though.
Yeah, it's a promo.
Yep, promo. Nothing really new. It's a mini Malakota.
Yep, he just farts every time somebody attacks him.
I like this guy. I actually think this guy's really good. I mean, the fact that he's cleric alone is nice, but
yeah, I mean, it's rolls crits.
2 direct poison damage. Yeah, 2 direct poison damage is just it's really efficient, and I think the reason why we don't see it a lot is because ideally a Necromancer casts him, but he doesn't come out of a spawn point.
Yeah,
so we just sort of like he's tough to get out.
Yeah.
If you use it as a warlock, you're going to take damage, and you're like, I don't want to do that. But, like, he's actually pretty cheap to just sort of, like, cast lesser teleport somewhere and then be like, your swarm just took a ton of damage.
Well, no, he doesn't do group damage, but he does it to his attacker. So if you have him guard...
Oh, yeah, okay, I guess, yeah.
If you put him as a guard, just to screw with them, they're going to take 2 direct damage.
Yeah, I guess...
2 direct damage. I can't speak.
He's really good against somebody running all the little cheap, dodgy creatures, right?
Interestingly enough, I think he's also good against the buddy build.
I mean, Gator Toughness is nice on him.
Yeah, I think he's good against the buddy build because if they have a big buddy, you're just chipping away with a cheap creature. Yeah.
That's nice.
Big buddy's probably going to one-shot him, though.
That's okay. That's what he's there for. The one shot is not hitting you in the faces, and he's taking damage back.
You also take damage when you're melee attacked. So it happens as you're attacked. So you might actually kill something before it hits you. Yeah. That's really interesting, right? Am I reading that right?
Wait,
like, it's like, hey, I'm going to melee attack you. You're melee attacking me? Take 2 damage. That's kind of cool.
Oh, yeah, I was thinking it happened after.
Yeah, it just says when you're melee attacking.
All right, question. Does Swarm trigger his ability multiple times?
Yes,
yeah.
When
it actually does.
It would. It absolutely
Dude,
would.
that's cool.
Unfortunately, you can't chant of Rage a Swarm into.
Oh yeah, well then it doesn't help
I mean,
anyway.
I mean, when we're talking bees here, they're
They're all
elusive, so you don't
elusive.
have to even
Yeah.
attack them. But ants would probably not want to attack him.
I think
Like, there's
ants are
really.
elusive too, aren't they?
I don't think so. They might be.
Yeah, I don't know. I
They
mean,
might
if
be.
for some reason they ever did attack him, you can be like, haha, triggers every time.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, this is a decent counter against like swarms. I mean, if you're playing swarms, just don't attack him. Just straight up.
I mean,
Yeah,
he rolls 2 dice. It's not like he's gonna kill your mage.
I guess if you hear me out. If you embalmed him to make him into a mummy, then guarded with the whatever his name
Matisse.
is,
Matisse.
and then they attack the guard for whatever reason, and you go, no, it's redirecting the bees.
We've just
and
gone
the bees
meta.
are like,
We've gone
aha,
super meta.
now we took a ton of damage and died. But that would be like the only way I think you could force the bee action.
We have just gone super meta.
I mean, yeah. I mean, so if you're playing Academy, that's probably the most likely scenario you can use that combo. But there you go.
There you go. All right. Moving on.
God.
The Vengeful Merchant. And if anybody ever played
Vengeful Merchant, yes.
Oh, yeah, if anybody ever played the old what's it, Curse of Monkey Island games where you're just gonna look
Yes.
Chuck.
It's so
Freaking
true.
love it. Yeah, so he's an incorporeal ghost that does critical damage as well, though it's only 1 die at a time, and only 1 attack at a time as well. When declaring Death Touch, you can place 2 damage on your mage to gain melee +2, though.
It's really
So
good.
he can do 3.
He can do 3 as long as your mage is taking the 2 damage. So, for those of you who are trying to make this work, find yourself some Vampiric or a Regrowth Belt, and suddenly this guy is a bit scarier than he was just a second ago.
And the mage doesn't have to be in the zone as this guy.
Right.
So you could just be hiding in the corner with a regrowth belt.
Yep.
This guy's like, screw the mage! I'm dealing 3 critical.
Yep, that's pretty much it.
And for 8 mana, 2 dice, 5 incorporeals is actually really good.
So one of the
He is a pirate,
I was
too.
going to point that out. One of the
Yes,
easy
it is.
ones
Yes,
to point
it
out
is.
here is the Pirate and the Siren synergy there. Siren already can get regen really easily, so it might be fun trying to see if this works. I don't know. I haven't actually run it with Siren before, but it could
Oh
be
my
fun.
god, you could call the merchant to give him
Oh,
plus
even
2,
better.
can't you?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
only works. I think that only works on aquatic creatures, my friends.
I thought it was.
It might.
Hang on, let me look
Pretty
at it.
sure Siren's Call is just aquatic creatures.
That's still, you can get him 3 in regen. That was the point I was going for.
No, you can cast it on friendly aquatic creatures gain -2. Yep, you're right. So obviously, yeah, you can't call it, but you could call
Yeah,
it
it
to get it
does.
out of there.
Yeah, it does work with the wreck ship. It is not psychic immune, which is why this stuff works. Why you can Siren's Call it. But
So if it's an enemy creature, you could, call it then.
yeah, you could. Wait,
Just
why would
saying.
you?
All right. Anyway, yeah, there's enough combos that are possible here, so we're going to move on.
You know what's hilarious is that you could mind control it too.
Oh, man, yeah, you could. Oh, man.
And then all of a sudden, you could take your 2 damage and do 3 crits.
But it does
to
work with
enemy
the
mage.
ship, so I mean, there's ways to give him extra dice.
Yeah, I mean, it works with the scout, and, we
Yeah.
talked about this earlier, Mark for Death, all that
Yep,
other
all
stuff,
the same
too.
combos. All right,
Mark for Death is probably common with the Necro.
let's go to the next vengeful thing. The Vengeful Voidwalker.
So this guy's super cheap.
Yep, super cheap. Kind of reminds me of a slightly cheaper skeletal minion, because he actually gets slightly stronger when he's damaged.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, 4 mana, 6 life is crazy.
yeah, it's
That's really good.
Really efficient for that. It's a nice. I don't really have it. I mean, this is one of those like, oh hey, look, I have a graveyard. It has 2 mana on it, and I need a cheap creature. There you go. So
He is really good. Like, if you're looking at level 1 creatures, like this versus minion, that's actually a little bit of a tough choice,
Right.
just because of the mana difference.
yeah, that 1 mana
That's
could be a
skeletal,
big difference there. So yeah, and he's extra cheap with the
I don't know.
ring. And,
Zombie Minion has 7 health resilient. I think it's going to stick around longer.
yeah, probably.
I mean,
but
that's
the
interesting.
mana
Right?
is different.
I mean, the zombie minion is a level 2, though, so it's like it's different.
Yeah, so
it's obviously going to be stronger.
It's another one of those pure Academy cards. Like it's a weaker version of a lot of things, but it does have a place in Arena. I think it's not. You're not going to spam them, but it's.
I think it makes instead of Crawler.
Yeah, I would say Crawler or Skeletal Minion is what you compare them to.
I would play this over Crawler.
I hate Crawlers.
And Skeletal Minion costs one more.
This slow is brutal on Crawlers.
Yeah.
I mean, Skeletal Minion costs one more, and it basically has the same stats.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess if you're going for a mummy thing.
But it's cheaper. That's my...
Yeah,
that
so
4 versus 5 mana
cheaper.
Surprisingly can come in handy a lot.
It can add up. It definitely can.
Yeah. Alright. Oh, we've already seen these. These are leather pants. This is also in the set, so those who would like another copy can acquire.
You can get more leather pants.
Yeah, get more leather pants.
Kind of disappointed in that card, just to be honest, but, you know.
Here's the next
card. I feel like it could have been dark leather pants or, I don't know, something.
Right, yeah, make it slightly different. Ramsey's Black Death. This one's interesting. Who wants to take this one?
Oh, yeah, so this is not a potion.
Yes.
But I assume it has a slot that's similar to potions, in that it has an untyped slot. So I guess it doesn't actually have the restrictions. Oh, no, it says it in it, doesn't it? So, I mean, basically, this is I look at it as sort of a direct damage healing spell. And basically, you use it as a quick spell action. And it has 2 charges. You remove one, and you just damage all the living creatures, enemy and foe, in the zone for 1, and then you heal yourself 1 for each damage. So like, if you're versing a Swarm Holy, Swarm Nature, a bunch of goblins, this is just really good.
This is good, especially in that, and then if you really want to start abusing it, Battleforge it, replace it.
Yeah, and that's the thing, it's not a potion, so it doesn't have the restrictions. So, I mean, if you look at it as a healing spell, like, if you can get 3 creatures out of it twice, that's 6 healing.
5 mana and 2 quick actions, 3 quick actions.
Yeah, and
it's a bit action heavy, so it's not particularly efficient in that one. I think it's more of like a win more card.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a druid and you have a bunch of regen creatures, you could also heal your mage and hurt all your regen creatures for whatever, because it works on your dudes too.
Yeah, that's a good point, but great.
I know, right? Also, if you're Academy Force Master, this is at cost, so not sure how many living creatures you'll have, but interesting.
But you damage other people's living creatures.
Yeah, you can damage everybody else.
And this works really well in a consecrated ground as a holy mage.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's ironic, but yeah.
So it's just, I don't know whether to look at it as a holy spell or a damage spell or both, but it's just kind of
it's weird.
Like, I'm having trouble figuring out when I'd want to play it, except, of course, the cases where there's a swarm there. Go get him. Right. You know what I mean? But, I mean, it's only 1 solar point, so...
And it's once per round, so you can't just, like, chunk yourself up in 1 turn.
Yeah.
Yep. So, all right. Well, that's the interesting interaction there. Here's the card that everybody's been waiting for, though.
Kind of cutting out there, Shark.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
This is the card everybody's been waiting for. It's Soul Reaper.
Well, you're the Dark Mage, Shark, so why don't you...
This one's just nuts. So, I'm in Arena... let's just start with this thing. First of all, you cast it, you receive 3 direct damage. When you make attack, the mage receives 2 direct damage. So it's 5 damage before you make your first attack. However, it is a 4-die base weapon with Vampiric for Academy, 5-dice base weapon, Vampiric for Arena. So, the combos should be fairly obvious on this one because there's a lot of dice. Granted, you're taking a lot of damage, but Vampiric can then heal some of that damage back. And the melee buff bonuses are really easy. You can get, with 1 bear strength, a Warlock in Arena will roll 8 dice. That's bonkers.
Oh my god, that's so crazy.
It kind of offsets, and 8 dice on average will offset most of the damage you took to cast it. I say most because there are dice rolls involved, and it can get a little dicey. Pun. It can get a little weird trying to get that to work, and armor. It doesn't take armor into account, but I mean, you can set this thing up to be nasty if it's not dealt with.
Yeah.
So.
And Champion's Gauntlets protects it.
Oh, jeez.
So, Paladin and Warlords can get some really good benefit out of this.
Yes, they can.
Bloodwave Warlord might be the best
melee
for it.
+1, yeah.
So you can roll 6 dice base.
Yeah,
with the Soul Reaper.
Off the board, 6 dice.
That's crazy.
Now, it should be pointed out that it is level 1, which means that Rapid Dismantle can target it in addition to the gauntlets. So you can get rid of it in one action with Rapid Dismantle.
Yes, that's true.
So if this thing starts showing up everywhere, you better believe people are going to start running Rapid Dismantle.
I will also point out, though, Rapid Dismantle's... It's super action efficient, but it would cost 10 mana to dismantle this and the gauntlets, so... Or 8 mana.
9.
I can't math. 9. Don't mind me.
It would cost 9, which is 1 turn of channeling for any mage.
Wait, no, isn't... I thought Rapid Dismantle was a base of 8.
Oh, yeah, it costs 8. It just costs 8.
So 8 plus 2 for the gauntlet,
right.
so 10.
Yeah.
So I imagine what a lot of mages that want to run this card, and I imagine like any mage can run this and it would be decent.
Yeah.
Probably has like some sort of regen on and cast this not earlier, but like around, that it's going to use it or something like that.
Siren. She has built-in regen.
And like basically you're like, I mean, vampirism. So basically you have regen to cancel out that initial cost of the damage. Because that's really where the cost is coming from, is that damage.
Yeah, and keep in mind, you will also take damage every time you attack. So if something blocks you reverse attack, something will, it's possible to totally screw you over for this too.
So I mean, like, you deal 2 direct damage, but on average you're going to roll 5 dice minimum. Yeah. So if they don't have armor, you'll probably gain that back. Like, probably run Critical Strike with that.
Yeah, you definitely run Critical Strike and Rust, and...
Yeah, and I want to point out that the other way that is most common to get vampirism for mages is a level 2 spell that costs 6 mana just to get the vampiric trait.
Yeah.
And this is 1 spellbook point for less mana that also gives you like the equivalent of like a bear strength of extra dice.
Yep.
Keep in mind
which can be double striked, sweeping striked, battle furied.
I still think
you
vampirism
get all 5 of those dice every time.
Yeah, right.
Vampirism only works on the first one, though.
Yeah, so actually, there's an interesting rule here.
I think it works every time.
No, it was a supplement that only works once. I'll double check.
So you're allowed to use vampirism multiple times in a round, but it only works in the first attack action.
Yeah, there you go.
If you're in Academy, it only works once per round. But in Arena, if you're like a holy mage, let's just take, and you're running the holy armor, you can give yourself that guard after using this, and then it would work with vampirism again.
Yep, and you always have the option to use your melee basic instead of the weapon that's equipped to you. So if you really don't want to take the damage, or you think you're not going to get enough damage through in order to use the vampiric effectively, then you can always default to your normal attack. Or a different attack that's from a different weapon.
So warlords would probably really well, I guess they couldn't do this, would they? I'm just trying to think of how many other ways to get guards with it besides the holy armor, but there's not too many other ways.
Yep.
You can retaliate yourself as a warlord.
Yeah, retaliate's probably your best bet. Which is, unexpected.
Chat 1 step ahead of us.
Oh, yeah.
Retaliate's a really good spell, by the way.
Yeah, it is. It's freaking.
Target's just creature. How good is that?
Yeah. All right, have we gone over all of Soul Reaper here?
I think this is going to be one of those cards that like really changes how a lot of people look at melee spells, especially now that we have Monk out. Like any melee bonuses that you're looking at, you could also look at this with Soul Reaper and be like, can I combo something with both of these to deal a bunch of damage or heal and stuff like that? So I'm really curious to see how this card changes stuff.
Hold up. Keegan says, hold up.
Keegan?
It has been held
up. What's up, Keegan?
He's like furiously typing right now.
It's just like a 10-second delay too, so.
Right. No, melee spells don't work with weapons, but if you're doing plus melee buffs, it combos with Soul
Oh,
Reaper,
yes.
and it combos with the monk spells.
Yeah, so you can't get vampiric on your melee attack spells, but the melee bonus is what I'm talking about.
You can get melee vampiric on them if you have vampirism on.
Yeah, you can.
Whereas the Soul Reaper's vampiric only works for its attack, not for the rest of your attacks. Which is one reason why vampirism is level 2 and costs 6, because you can get it with any melee attacks that you make.
Especially now. So yeah, I mean, Soul Reaper's just good.
Yep.
I mean, like, you can't purge it, and having an extra 2 dice, super good. My God.
True. All right, let's see what else we got here. We have the Scepter of Undeath.
Oh, this is a great card.
So, would you like to carry it then?
It only works on minor undeads. Go ahead.
There's a lot of those around, though.
I mean, so basically, the Necromancer has the Scepter of... not the Scepter of Undeath, that's his card. That one card that we were referencing earlier, the Dark... whatever staff.
The Death Shroud Staff.
Death Shroud Staff. But the thing is, a lot of people just don't use it. And I feel like this is one of those cards that was like, okay, we want Death Shroud Staff's ability, but we want to make it Academy style and usable. And this is one of those great cards that helps you with that. It only works on minor undead, so, it doesn't work on the brute. But basically, you pay 2 mana, you get 2 additional dice on it. And if it's a mummy, you pay 1 less. It's just kind of it's a really good card. You have to follow your creatures around, but if you're running zombie minions, or if you're running the rot zombie or rot mummy or something like that, you might as well just take this. And also, I want to point out that you get 2 additional dice on the next attack. I don't think that applies to Double Strike twice, but I'm pretty sure it's good with that mummy as well. That's just 1 mana for 2 dice. It's damn good.
That is really good. So yeah, you'd be right, but they would roll 8 dice.
Yeah,
5 dice,
right?
1 3 die.
8 dice with your 7 cost mummy. That's pretty damn good.
I do believe this works with the ghosts, right? The extra crits.
Yep.
If it's a minor undead, yeah.
Yeah. So that's a lot of potential critical damage there too. So if someone can't deal with incorporeal, damn.
Does it work with the Pirate Ghost? Is that a level 2 dude?
Yeah, it's level 2.
Wow. That's really good. And I want to point out that you can make any living creature into a mummy, which then they'll gain the undead. So, if you have something like Isambila that you brought back, suddenly it's rolling 4, then it's rolling 6, piercing 2 with this. You know what I mean? So, it's kind of really powerful when you think about some of the combos.
Yeah.
That you can make.
It's another one of those where it's just a combo set, so...
Yeah. And you can do that in Academy, too, so... Huzzah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, it's just a cool card. Really.
Yeah, I agree. Shall we go to the last card?
The last card. Are we done already?
We are. We're at Unholy Armor, the final card of the set.
Go ahead, Shark. Take it away.
All right. So, this one is an armor and a belt piece. It only costs 5. It is Dark Mage only. You can reduce the cost of it by the number of corporeal creatures you control. So when you cast it, all corporeal creatures you control receive 1 direct damage, and this mage gains armor +2. So it's a bit of a combo there. There's a lot to unpack. The first part is you can basically cast it for free with enough creatures, and if they're all mummies, you can make them trigger all of their little, if they take damage, things that they have. And then you get 2 armor for the chest piece and the belt. That's pretty dang good for what it does.
One important thing to note, though, is that the belt slot can be really critical for whatever you're doing. If you wanted Regrowth Belt, if you wanted Witchwood Ironvine, if you wanted Vet Belt, there's a lot of belts that are really good, and taking up a belt slot is, it could be judged to be good or bad.
Yeah, it's a choice. It's a conscious choice you have to make when building your book for this one.
And I want to point out that you have to damage the corporeal creatures you control, and it's not just the creatures in your zone. It's all of them, everywhere.
Right. Yeah.
So, this is the kind of armor that I'd probably bring out when I've positioned all of my mummies, or, the Retels, or anything that takes damage and gets better. that's when you position them all, and you're like, time to activate all of them. Since it's arena wide, and like I wouldn't necessarily look at it for the armor, although 2 armor 5 mana is okay, but like
Yeah, for the price of mana, it's actually not bad.
yeah, and the fact that it's cheaper when you deal damage is cool. But it's just kind of one of those armors that's like, unless you have a combo with it, you probably won't take it.
Question
I believe
arises:
the mage
does your mage takes damage? Do you control your own mage? Right.
Yeah, I believe it does.
Yeah, he does.
So you would take a damage for casting this.
So it's always going to cost 4, which is good.
Yep.
It's like casting 2 leathers.
Pretty much, and it's all one action, which is I think the really important part, the action saving.
Yeah.
If you do it from the forge, it costs you 3 mana and 1 health.
True.
Mm-hmm.
And you could trigger mummies if you wanted to. And then it would cost you less mana. So you could get it for free from the forge in just a couple turns.
I mean, yeah, there's kind of a bunch of combos out there that I would be curious to see what people make books out of. That's pretty much that card.
Yep, I would agree. And that's the end of the ones that I have on this PDF. So,
all right,
I believe
all the cards.
We made it through. I guess when we post this on YouTube, you guys can leave comments about your favorite card that you saw from the set. Otherwise, the Discord is around. Post in there too.
We'll do our best to sort out all of the rules questions that come up from various cards, like the Embalmed. And
It's a fun card.
We'll, yeah. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, guys, thanks for joining us for the review, everyone live. For everyone that is watching this and maybe doesn't know about the online scene, we do have a Discord.
We will try to post a link to the Discord in the
video. It's the Mage Wars community chat is what it's called, but we'll post the link, hopefully. If not, you can shout at us in the comments and we'll post it. We do also have, online tournaments for Octagon, which, we have tutorial videos on how to install Octagon and stuff like that. So if you want to play online with us sometime, feel free to check that out. And check out, and I guess, keep an eye out for the next ADMW tournament.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
I believe this set is scheduled to release on the 17th of this month, last I heard.
Yeah.
So I think it's 1 week from today, if you're watching this live.
Yep. And as soon as we get the go-ahead, we'll add it to Octagon.
Yeah.
All right.
Any last words, gents?
Thanks for joining Coshade, Sharkbait, and Puddnhead for Necro Academy review.
Yeah, guys, take care.
All right.